Welcome to Real Estate Investing for Women. On this show, you will learn how to create wealth through real estate the blissful way. That means with very little stress and very little time. We talk about strategies, mindset, heart set, money smarts, resources, and so much more to ensure you're able to create the success you most deeply desire. Now, here's your host, Monica Sawyer.
Today, I am so excited to welcome to the show Lyndsay Phillips, founder and owner of Smooth Sailing Business Growth and Real Estate Investors Marketing. Lyndsay is the go-to content marketing expert who helps clients attract and convert customers faster. Lyndsay is featured on MSN, NBC, Fox, and published in Home Service Magazine, Max Magazine, and has guested on a ton of podcasts, including JLD's Entrepreneurs on Fire, which I have been on also, Yay. And Joe Fairless's Best Podcast Ever. She's a serial podcaster with shows like Smooth Sailing Podcast, Smooth Business Growth Podcast, and now co-hosts the REI Marketing Show. Speaking at events such as Dream Business Academy, Podfest, and Service Business Edge, she has shared the stage with Mike. Say his name.
I know, Mike Michalowicz.
Yeah, and Jay Abraham. Sorry about that.
He's awesome.
Yes, he is. Working with successful real estate investors, she's increased her product audience, extended their reach, and built their authority status through content marketing. Hello, Lyndsay. How are you?
Lovely to see your beautiful face again.
You too. Welcome back to the show. So could you tell us a little bit about your story and sort of how you got involved in this sort of helping? Because I know that you help real estate investors too, which actually there aren't a lot of content marketers that help investors. So tell me a little bit about how you got into that.
You bet. So I started off as a VA and then niched down into content marketing and just found it was working really well for my clients. And I love the creativity and I love the psychology behind like attracting and building relationships and converting. And then I was actually working with a friend of mine, Aaron, who's a real estate investor copywriter. And he introduced me to some investors that were struggling with their marketing and started doing work for them and helping them out. And it just kind of grew. And I've been on podcasts and just kind of establishing a name for myself and just realized that there aren't a lot of services out there, whether it's online marketing, digital content, whatever, that are geared towards real estate investors because it is a unique industry and there is so much to understand. And yeah, I love it.
Good. You seem to. It's totally awesome. So talk to us about why it's important to have an avatar. And so I just want to give a little perspective, ladies, on why we're asking this question. If you are not in marketing, one of the things that we do in marketing is we pick an avatar of our ideal client, listener, tenant, home seller. I mean, there are a lot of different avatars, and avatar simply means the person that would be perfect to do business with, right? So for me, you ladies know that when I buy a house, the very first thing that I'm thinking about is my tenant avatar. That tenant avatar is my business partner, right? This is the person that I want to do business with. So I picked the tenant avatar, which is executives, right? And then I started to look for houses that avatar would like to live in, right? Then I find the house and then I go and I advertise to that avatar. And they have, first of all, the property attracts them, but also my understanding of who they are attracts them and what their needs are, right? So an executive, for instance, does not want a landlord that's breathing down their throat. They do not want a landlord that defers all maintenance. They do not want a landlord that is telling them what to do. They're executives. They're used to being the boss, not be bossed around, right? So I understand who they are. So for them to do business with me is easy. I provide a house that they will love. For them to do business with me, it makes it easy, right? So avatar is a marketing term that we use, and it sounds a little bit like marketing, right?
It sounds voodoo-y.
It sounds a little voodoo-y, right? But it's very, very relevant in everything that we do. You know, ladies, if you're single and you're looking for a guy, Like you should have an avatar of that man, right?
Totally.
So there's right, or whatever it is. So a VA or whoever it is that you're trying to attract, whatever the customer looks like, you want to have an avatar. So talk to me a little bit about I sort of stole your thunder on that one with this whole thing.
It's all good. But you framed it for me.
So now
you also gave a real estate kind of angle to it so they can understand it. So.
Exactly. So talk to me a little bit more about your perspective on that.
For sure. I mean, it's great to create blogs, podcasts, videos, lead magnets, information on your website. But if you're not talking about the right topics, or if you're not talking in the right places, or you're not talking their language, then you're not going to attract anybody. Like you said, you're attracting executive. If you were attracting elderly people, then you probably wouldn't, they don't probably watch videos, or they don't watch or listen to podcasts, or they, wouldn't necessarily be on Instagram, let's say. So, and what appeals to them and their lifestyle and their pain points and what they want in life is so different. So when you're thinking about what content, and like there's so many options out there, right, Monica? It's like it can be really overwhelming. We were just talking about Clubhouse a few minutes ago, and it's like, oh man, another thing.
Yes, right.
There's so many options, and it can be like, what do I do? Where do I do it? What am I going to talk about? So the first thing that you need to do is think about who you're attracting, and like ask questions. Think about the 3 best deals that you've put together, or your 3 best tenants, and think about like, why did they come to you? What were their concerns? What kind of questions did they ask? Where did they find you? Where do they hang out? What do they even do in a day? And, what are they like? An executive, they're go, go, go. They want no nonsense. They just want to get to the point and get it done so they can move on with their busy lives. Where like, seniors, they're a little slower. They take their time. There's more thought process. So their whole way of digesting information and accessing it and making that decision is just so different. So it will affect everything that you do.
Well, and how you do business with them, right? With an executive, they're really excited to just get a text from me. With an elderly person, she's going to want me to come by and say hello and hang out with her for an hour, right? For everything, right? And have tea, right? Because that's how they have always done business, right? Exactly. And we've got all these great new tools, but that doesn't excite them.
No.
Right. And then, if we're doing like, there are lots of different kinds of people. Like I also have some people that they're all in the sort of the construction industry, which is great right now with COVID, right? But the conversation is just different with them, right? The way that I meet with them, they want me to kind of have a relationship with their kids, and so that I understand the way the family works for them, and those sorts of things. So it's just different. Each of the way that each of us does business is a little different, but we can be included in sort of a grouping of sort of the way that we show up in the world, right?
Absolutely. And it's, and really like when you think about the marketing, you can't look at it from your own perspective. I want to rent out my property. I want to sell this, multifamily home. I want, a deal. I need a partner. It's like, they're not going to give a crap about what you want. Mm-hmm. You have to think about what they want, what they're, losing sleep over, or what kind of decisions they're making. And that's what you need to base all of your decisions on. So if you're worried about like, should I be on Clubhouse? Should I be on Instagram? Just think, are they? Like, I remember one of my clients was like, oh, we got to be on Snapchat. It's the new greatest thing. And I'm like, your peeps don't even know what Snapchat is. It's like, why waste your time and your effort and your money putting marketing in that avenue? And his peeps were like, you can even survey people, right? And find out. So they were on YouTube and watching videos all the time. So he spent more time and effort doing videos which, by the way, is really good because it helps you connect with someone faster because they're looking in your eyes. They can see your personality and if, you're like them or whatever, and you just get a read for people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually build relationships faster by podcasting, by doing videos, because you're going to cut to the chase and cut to the front of the line so much faster. So you really need to think about where they're hanging out. And then, do they listen to podcasts? Do they watch videos? Do they love to read? Like my one client, his peeps, they don't read. So we don't do a lot of blogs because they don't care. They don't have time. They couldn't care less. And some people love, for me, like entrepreneurs, like love blogs and picking out like tips and stuff like that. So I do a lot of blogs. So you really got to think about like where you're going to hang out. What kind of content are you going to put out? And then also, obviously, that's going to help you drive what topics you're going to talk about and what kind of language you're going to use. So all those things will help you drive and create that content marketing that is going to attract so much faster.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I remember, so I actually had a place that came empty during COVID. And fortunately, and this is actually an interesting thing, ladies, to think about, is that when you're listening to this podcast or you're out there, looking at things on YouTube, or you're in these communities, which I encourage you to network, right, to also find out what that avatar is sort of going to look like. Mm-hmm. I found out that a lot of my peers are finding their new tenants through Facebook Marketplace. Now, I will be the first to admit that I am not doing the whole Facebook thing since the pandemic started. There's been so much negativity, and part of my sort of defense for my immune system is to make sure that as little negativity comes in as possible, because we do have to pay attention to what's going on, and it's been scary, right? So I want to feed myself in my spare time. I want to feed myself yummy stuff, right? And it was not showing up on Facebook. It was not showing up on the news. Like, it was just not showing up in those places, and so I was other places. But the point is, even though I was not on Facebook, I had heard this thing that everybody's getting their stuff on Facebook Marketplace. And when I looked at the avatar of Facebook Marketplace, I didn't really have an idea of who was there because I hadn't been there.
And you're not in it, so you don't. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
So what was so fascinating about this thing is, so normally I go to Realtor.com, Zillow, and Craigslist. So those are the places that I normally advertise in. So of course I did those things. And then I kind of threw an ad up on Facebook Marketplace. So the response on Facebook Marketplace was 10-1 on the other ones. So it's
crazy, isn't it?
Right. So I'd get 1 on Zillow, 1 on Craigslist, 0 on Realtor.com, and then I'd get 20 on Facebook. Now, the quality of the ones on Facebook were not necessarily so good, but within 3 days, I had 3 applications from Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah.
So it's also true that as the times are changing, people are also changing. So where I may not have thought that an executive or an executive's wife is on Facebook Marketplace, that's obviously not true. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that learning your avatar, finding out who your avatar is today is great. And that person is going to evolve the same way as you're evolving. That is very true. Right? And so you have to be aware of that avatar is a person. It is a person. It is not a stick figure.
And people change.
And technology changes and all of that stuff too. So just kind of be aware of that,
That's a great point. And it's like, even like being like connected with people like you or me or in Facebook groups, it's like asking questions, right? Don't be afraid to ask questions. You don't have to know everything. Like, hey, where's everyone getting the most action on this? Mm-hmm. And it's like, and feel free to test. If you want to I don't know, I'm on the fence. You can test something for a while. If it works, great. Then you're going to run with it. If it doesn't, good to know. Mm-hmm. It's okay to test. It's not like you're, spending $1 million and you're jumping in, and it's okay to test. And if it fails, that's okay too.
Right. So that's a little bit about the avatar. So now what do you post?
I know, right? Everyone gets absolutely stumped. What the heck do I write every day? And that's why so many people are not consistent with their social, because they are just like, I have no idea what to write. So for me, it's like, I love recycling, reusing, and leveraging a piece of content. So if you have a podcast episode or a blog or a video, because you can transcribe the video, obviously you're going to share that and share it more than once. Please, it's good content. And then also you can splinter little bits and pieces out of it. So I call these snackable bites. So let's say, for instance, you have a blog, and of course it's like, the 5 limiting beliefs of real estate investors or whatever it may be. Like, there's 5 points right there. So you can take one piece, make a social media post and a, pretty meme quote graphic, just stands alone, doesn't link anywhere. That's shareable. You can ask questions like, hey, what do you think about this? Do you prefer this or this? Are you this kind of person? Do you find that this holds you back? So just think of and plus people love to state their opinion, right? And people want to share more about themselves, and you want engagement, you want interaction. So that's like one of the easiest, just ask a whack of questions. And then statistics. And the other piece is that, so you've taken your blog, you've splintered it and taken out little snackable bites. You can also do a video on that topic. People aren't going to remember, oh, didn't she do a blog on that topic that she's talking about? They're not going to remember. So this is like extra content, right? And then you can even share other people's content. I mean, you're a wealth of information, Monica, and other sources, Bigger Pockets, whoever. And then whatever articles that you find or tidbits of information, it's okay to share. To me, you're not lowering your own authority by doing so. You're serving your audience. You're showing that you're learning more and reading what's trending and what's going on. And you're showing that you care and you want them to be informed. And it's super easy to do. You don't even have to think about it. And the last point I want to share is that so many people don't do this. Just share what's going on in your life. Like you did an ad in Marketplace that you weren't sure. You were just like, ooh, look at the results I've got. You can share that. I had my doubts. I gave it a try. Here's what my results were. Share what's going on in your daily life. It's okay if it doesn't work. You can be vulnerable. That's fine. But people want to know what's working for you, how you're doing your thing and how you're rocking it, and what's going on behind the scenes. And they want to know your personality, right? They want to know about you. So if that doesn't fill up your week with social, I don't know it will.
I love that. Yeah. And you can actually kind of plan it, right? Like you can say, okay, well, I don't like doing videos, so maybe I'll just do that once a week. I'll write a blog once a week. I'll break it up. We have little blog episode, little bites that you can do that are 1 minute, or you can do it in stories or whatever, but you can plan that out. This day I'm going to ask a question. This day I'm going to do this, right? And then you're not having to think through it every single day, every single week. You kind of can let that go.
Because that gets old fast.
It does. It really, really does.
I know. And for us, we do it for our clients as well. But even for me and whoever, it's just batch task, right? The first week of a given month, maybe you dedicate that to creating content, your podcast, your blog, a video, whatever. And then the following week, you can take little bits out and kind of splinter and make some pretty graphics. The next week, you pre-schedule it. Then you got a week off, and then you do it all over again. So as long as you're on a routine and you have a system, then it's and then if you have a system, you can farm some of it off, right, to a team member or VA or content marketer. And then it's it just does itself.
I love that. So sometimes it's geographic specific, and sometimes for me, it's national or international. My reach is quite large for my podcast, but then when I'm renting a home, it's more specific, right? So how do you decide what to post for each of those to sort of extend your reach for that? If we want to be geographic specific, or we want to be more broad and widespread?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I do work with, because you're right, there are some investors that work in a specific geographic location, or, other entrepreneurs too. They're more bricks and mortar or what have you. That's to me where it's really important to be like an integral part of your community. So like liking the Better Business Bureau or the Downtown Core, Chamber of Commerce. I don't know what you have in the States compared to Canada, but those associations, charities, finding out what is even going on, like the news in your area, the politics, maybe not get into politics too much, but like the current events of like, oh, it's a peach festival next weekend, like whatever it may be. But it shows that you're a part of the community and that you're a leader in the community, which is huge. So following all of those, liking their posts, commenting, sharing those posts, DM them, ask them what's going on. The more you communicate and network within your own community and you're sharing what's going on, people will see that and it'll be like reciprocal. The other great tip is to, if you're mentioning someone, is tagging them. So if you're talking about, I don't know, commercial buildings or what's going on, you can tag them. And then same with hashtags. So like hashtag your city or your region or whatever that may be. Because a lot of times people will search like, houses in Detroit or whatever that may be. So that really helps kind of target and get you in front of that audience as well.
Nice. Okay. That was awesome. So now let me ask you, what the heck is the difference? Like, why would you use a story instead of a post, or like, what's the difference? I'm just always posting. I don't even know what like stories are, you know what I mean? And that's true on Instagram as well as in Facebook. So could you explain a little bit about that and how to use them?
And everyone's getting off on that kick. So stories, of course, when you open up, it's easier to see it in your mobile app than it is on desktop. But you'll see right at the top, like almost like a slider of these long posts, normally Instagram or square posts, right? And they will only be up for a day. So they're up and they go. However, you can save them to your highlights in Instagram to store them, and then people can kind of go in there and keep them and look at them. But it's just where everyone goes automatically. It's right at the top. It's eye-catching. So you're going to grab their attention first with the stories, then you are in the news feed. And of course, we all know Facebook and their algorithms and the news feed, and they pick and choose for you. So I find I don't know too much about the algorithms where it comes to stories and that, but I do know from my own experience that I'm more apt to see something throughout the stories. And they're cute, right? Like some of them are like, they have like moving images and they're like little clips. And then if you do a bunch of stories in a day, they actually stockpile. It almost reads like a little movie because they show like a whole bunch of them together. And then so you can actually see someone's day in action if they're on there a lot and doing a bunch of stories. But you're basically going to grab people's attention quicker.
Oh, interesting. Wow. Okay.
I know. It's more work.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Dagnabbit.
Yeah. And I kind of wonder, like, with all of this stuff, how am I actually going to get my work done? Right? Like, do you ever get that? Like, how do I do all this without like it completely consuming my life?
I know that's where systems are so key. Like I use Canva. So you can like, say you're creating images for like social, you can just resize it to Instagram stories. And then you can add layers on top and just kind of tweak it and stuff like that. I mean, they do have a lot of fancy templates and you can like go full on all out. And then also the app itself, like Instagram on your phone, it's quicker to do it on the fly that way. But as long as you have a system or you're in a routine, like every morning I'm going to take one of my pictures and do my little thing and then fire it off on Instagram. And then you can also connect Instagram to Facebook so that whatever story you put on Instagram automatically goes to Facebook stories. So there are a few automation tricks that'll at least save you a bit of time.
Okay. And then there's stories and then there's lives. So talk to me a little bit about the difference of those and how to utilize those.
So lives are like video, but it's not pre-recorded.
Right.
So like you pick up the phone or I've done it on desktop, hit the little go live button and you're instantly talking, or like you're showing up on video. The great thing about lives is that, especially in Facebook, is that it notifies anyone that you're following, say, hey, Lyndsay's live. So you're able to like grab their attention, versus if you upload a video direct to Facebook, they're not going to get that notification. And the beauty of a live is that you're able to communicate with people in live time. So if they're commenting, they like heart and a little heart goes up and you're like, hey, Joanna, how's it going? And you can like, respond. And then it will stay up after that. So if people aren't on Facebook right then and there, they're still going to consume it. It's still evergreen. And you can also, if you use an app called repurpose.io, any live that you do, it can automatically strip the audio for a podcast, format it for IGTV, flip it over to YouTube so you can feed your YouTube channel. So there are automation tools so that you can take a live Facebook and use it and leverage it different ways. So that way you can save a ton of time.
Got it. Okay. So with live, it still pops up as, Monica's live right now, right? But the story, it stays up for a whole day. Is that
24
true?
hours, yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Good. So how do you use social to build better relationships, let's say? And I know that we're going to talk a lot more deeply about this in Extra, but give us kind of a high level of what we should be considering around that.
To me, I'm like, yes, you want to showcase your expertise in social media, through the content that you're sharing. You want to show that you're professional, that you're branded, that you've got that credibility. And you want to talk about stuff that's going to attract the right prospects. But for you to attract, it's great to attract, but then if nothing happens after that, it's all kind of a moot point.
Right.
So if you think of it as a way to connect with people, a way to have conversations and show your own personality, show that you care, then you're good. And that's why like some of those posts that you do, they're like engagement questions, right? You're asking them. Just think of it like, how can I make it a two-way thing versus me pushing info and pushing promo out? And like if someone comments, comment back. And, but you can even DM them and take the conversation off there and like, hey, how's it going? What did you like? You can ask them more questions and then it just even strengthens that relationship even further. Hey, I've got a great resource that maybe was helpful. Hey, I know someone that knows how to do that. Let me connect you with that person. Just think about how you can help them and how you can create a conversation. If those two things are always in the back of your mind when it comes to social, then you'll naturally kind of make that next step.
Got it. I
Does
love
that help?
that. Yeah, it does help. And I know this is a much larger topic than what you can say in like one little paragraph. And so that's why, ladies, I asked Lyndsay to kind of go into more depth about what that will look like and how to structure that. And we're going to be talking about that in Extra. So that's going to be an Extra. But yay! But before we close this part of the show, Lyndsay, could you tell people how they can get in touch with you?
For sure. So they can go to smoothbusinessgrowth.com. And of course, if they go to smoothbusinessgrowth.com/Monica, they can get they can get free content.
Yeah. So we've got we've got a couple of good, really cool gifts. So we've got free content for 2 weeks. If you go to smoothbusinessgrowth.com/Monica. And then the second gift, which is at smoothbusinessgrowth.com/Bliss. Could you tell us about that one? Bliss, BLISS.
That's right. Because it is blissful doing content marketing.
So what is that second one?
Exactly. So it's our done for you services. So we have, monthly and so forth, where we basically have content that you can just take and go and post it. Or we obviously have more higher end services where we will brand it and customize it and schedule it for you so that you don't have to worry about it all.
Awesome. And you get that, if you go to that link, do you get the 1 month for free, or do you get a discount, or how does that work?
So the prices are right there on it. And, but with the Monica, you do get the 2 weeks of free content,
Okay.
Blogs, emails, video scripts, images, you get 2 weeks and just go.
Okay, great. So it's smoothbusinessgrowth.com, and then either /Monica or /Bliss, depending on what
you got her, baby.
Perfect. And ladies, I will have all of that in the show notes so you can get at that. So yay. So are you ready for our 3 rapid fire questions?
Go for it.
Awesome. So Lyndsay, tell us one super tip getting started in real estate investing.
To me, it is, even if you're scared, do it anyways. I built my business on that premise. It's like I was petrified of doing podcasts, petrified of doing videos, petrified of speaking on stage. And I'm like, I'm just going to do it anyways. And then it may not be perfect at first, but you know what? You take that next step, and by taking action, it automatically propels your business forward.
Nice. Thank you. And then what would you say is one strategy to be successful as a real estate investor?
I would say is being consistent. If you're a podcaster, keep doing your podcast every week. If you're blogging, do your blog every week. If you're doing live videos, be consistent with those. You have to be in front of people's, faces and be in contact with them constantly. And people are like, ooh, you're everywhere. You're doing all these things. And it naturally builds your authority, and it, builds your reach as well. So you just, you can't take 6 months off. You have to be consistent.
Well, or you can take 6 months off. You just have to plan for it.
You have your team do all the stuff.
That's right. Well, and like for me, I'm often recorded 4 months out, which means I can take 2 months off anytime that I want it, So you can, like we were kind of talking about when you're setting up your systems, you can plan this stuff out,
Absolutely.
Yay. And then what would you say is one daily practice that you do, Lyndsay, that contributes to your personal success?
I would love to say it's meditation or yoga, but it's not.
That's okay. A lot of people say that on this show.
It's not gratitude. I'm a no nonsense kind of girl. It is my calendar and my project management tool. If I don't go to that every morning and figure out what my priorities are and what my to-do list is, I would be lost, and I would be chaotic, not efficient, not productive, and I would never get anything done.
Okay. What is the software you use?
I use Teamworks, but Basecamp is great. There's Podio. There's so many.
Okay.
Some of them are a little bit over the top, but as long as it keeps you organized, and especially if you've got team members in there, and then recurring tasks so that you don't have to think about it. You don't, your tasks will pop up. Oh yeah, I got to work on that this week.
Got it.
No one wants to drop a ball.
Nobody wants to drop a ball. Yeah, that's true. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for everything you've offered on this portion of the show. I'm excited about what we're talking about in Extra.
You betcha.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So ladies who are subscribed to Extra, stay tuned. We're going to be doing a deep dive on building strong relationships using social media and content marketing. If you are not subscribed to Extra but would like to be, just go to realestateinvestingforwomenextra.com. That's realestateinvestingforwomenextra.com. And you can sign up there. The first 7 days are for free. So check it out. And then if you love it, you love it. And if you don't, you don't. You don't have to stay. It's totally up to you.
Sweet
So
deal.
that's, realestateinvestingforwomenextra.com. For those of you that are leaving us, you've already joined us, but thank you for that. And if you're leaving us now, it's just been so great hanging out with you today. Thank you for being here. And you know how much I appreciate you. And I look forward to seeing you next time. So until then, remember, goals without action are just dreams. So get out there, take action, and create the life your heart deeply desires. I'll see you soon. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed today's show. If you'd like to find out more about how to become a blissful millionaire, go to blissfulinvestor.com. See you next time.